Hi YouTube, Josh here, normally with the channel zzzgiantawake, but it's Saturday on the Breakfast Club. So I'm continuing the conversation that we've been having this week on drugs. Drugs are a very broad span of conversation. To have a comprehensive conversation about drugs is going to take a lot more than this video, and I apologize for all the shortcomings that this video is going to have. I have thought about a few different parts that I wanted to touch on because I can't touch on everything. So part 1, marijuana. A few years ago, we had the question of whether you could legalize marijuana and get it to people in a way that's effective and safe. And then we also were wondering if it would have any negative impacts on society. I think that given the recent laws that have passed really successfully in Washington and Colorado, we have a definitive answer, and that is yes, we should legalize marijuana across the country. Part 2, other drugs. So there are a lot of other drugs to talk about in this, and that goes from everything from opiates to uppers like crack and cocaine and crystal meth to hallucinogenics and other drugs that are out there. I wish that I could say that we should legalize everything tomorrow, but that seems like somewhat of an emotional response. I don't think that arguing that drugs are something that we naturally do or escapism is something that we naturally do is a good argument. There are lots of things that we naturally do, such as seek revenge, that are definitely something that should be outlawed. So I don't really buy into the natural argument that was put forth on Monday. And just a note, I want to make sure you guys have access to the videos that I'm referencing. So along here you'll see all of the videos that have been put up so far this week. I also find myself agreeing with David, Landon, and Cole on the idea that maybe we need to try different policies and different laws to see what works. Part 3, some legal aspects. So while I don't think that all drugs should be legal, I have a hard time being even slightly okay with the drug laws that we currently have on the books. People who tend to get caught and prosecuted for drug offenses are those who are of a lower socioeconomic class. People who can't afford lawyers and stuff like that seem to be more adversely affected by current drug laws. This is something that I think that needs to strongly be reviewed. Primarily, I really wish that we would get rid of mandatory minimums and let the judge do their job of figuring out what they think fits the situation. And I have a hard time thinking that any nonviolent drug offense should be a felony. This is something, again, that affects lower socioeconomic classes who have bigger hurdles to jump over in life, and to add felon or criminal onto their already pile of problems seems to be counterproductive at best. So there are definitely some laws that I'm for changing. I don't know if I'm for making all drugs legal under certain circumstances. Again, I think this is something that there can't be one idealistic philosophy that guides us, but a lot of trial and error. I'm far more towards believing and leaning towards ideas that come from statistics and other successes that have happened in the past. Part 4, recovery. So this is something that is near and dear to my heart. I've been sober at the time of this video 3 years, 11 months, and 2 days. Now, I used to be someone who would drink or use on a daily basis, so this is something that I have some experience talking about. Since I've decided to get sober, I've gone through a number of different types of treatments. So if you have questions about those or criticisms of this video, please leave those comments and criticisms in the description. I'll do my best to respond. So with recovery and addiction and stuff like that, I find our current system completely underwhelming. The best drug treatment programs that are out there are available to those people who have lots of money. They're very expensive. Drug addiction should be something that is subsidized or even sometimes free. With option A, you can either go to the expensive treatment centers that seem to do a decent job, or you can go to what is offered by the state, which is, in my mind, a completely underwhelming set of options. A lot of the treatment options that are given to you by the state when you break a law, let's say you pick up a drug or alcohol offense, they have you go to classes in which in a group setting, and it's not really an optional thing. Now, with drug treatment and alcohol treatment and that sort of a thing, if the people who are not going there voluntarily, it has an extremely low percent of actually working, like under 5%, which is abysmal. You need to be given good reasons to get sober, and those reasons come from within. If someone's going to get sober long term, and I don't think that everybody who has a drug and alcohol offense should be in those treatment programs and should be treated as if they have an addiction, because a lot of people who are prosecuted for a drug offense are minor drug offenders who were smoking pot and got caught, and that makes no sense to use state money to send them to treatment. But a lot of this is solved by having better drug laws in the first place. And another criticism of the current system that we have is that these classes are not very effective. We don't have a lot of science to back up what the most effective ways are. This would be an area that should be have more research done into it. Some of the most successful drug treatment programs are done with a counselor, like a one-on-one counselor, and it's not just to solve the drug problem. It doesn't focus on the drug problem, it focuses on life problems and getting your life to a place where escapism isn't so appealing. And I don't think the state should be mandating that people go to a class or anything that has anything to do with the 12-step program, because the 12-step program unfortunately has the God requirement, or a higher power of your understanding, which is mostly interpreted and understood to be God. So, the last thing that I wanted to say on this is that there are a lot of better answers, and I have more questions and answers personally on this. I don't know what the best fitting of laws and treatment and all of that is, and so I really am looking forward to having more discussion on this, and I would like to hear what Gothatfunk has to say when it comes to hallucinogenics. With laws that are in place, we sometimes try and look into the intention of someone, and it's hard to figure out the intention of someone when they're high. Most people when they're high or on any sort of drug don't do things that they would normally intend to do. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that this was somewhat insightful. Again, if you have questions, I'll be able to answer them a lot more thoroughly in the comments section. And until next week, I'll see you then. And Peach, you are up tomorrow.